My name is Zara Khan. I'm 29 years old, and the day my family threw a party to celebrate, kicking me out of the house, was the day I stopped trying to prove anything. I didn't cry, I didn't argue, I just paid attention. It started like any other morning. I was sitting at the dining table with my laptop open, working on a client report. It was quiet except for the ceiling fan ticking above me and the occasional car passing outside. From the kitchen, my father's voice cut through the silence. Must be nice, sitting all day doing nothing. I didn't respond. I was on a deadline, a real one, the kind where if I messed up, a client could lose a contract worth thousands. But in his world, if there was no sweat, it wasn't worked. An hour later, he walked back in. Hey, can you write a reply to this client? He's using too many complicated words. I think he's mad. I looked up at him. Same man, same day. To him I was useless, until I was necessary. I had moved back into that house 3 years earlier. Not because I failed, because he was. My father owned a small signage business, Khan, Signs and Install. It used to do well shop boards, banners, vehicle wraps, small commercial jobs, nothing massive, but enough to live comfortably. Then things started slipping, but material costs went up, clients delayed payments, projects got stuck. And instead of fixing systems, he got louder. He blamed the economy, his workers, the government, and eventually, me. What he never told anyone was this. If I hadn't stepped in, his business would have collapsed 2 years earlier. At first, I told myself I was just helping temporarily. Let me fix the invoices. That's it. Then, it became fixing tax filing errors, rewriting client emails, tracking deadlines. He kept missing, negotiating with suppliers, covering short payments quietly, and, the worst part, no one knew. To the outside world, and even inside the house, I was just the daughter who never got her life together. My younger sister, Hira, followed his lead. Mocking me got her approval. She wanted to be an brand deals, followers, attention. And whenever she ran out of money, API please, just this once, I'll send it back. She never did. My uncle lived halfway in our business, halfway in denial. Bad decisions, late arrivals, constant excuses, and always a phone call. Zara, can you send something, just to cover this week? My grandmother wrapped everything in religion. Family is everything. Be patient. God sees your sacrifices. But patience, in that house, only went one way. And me, I stayed quiet. Because I thought that's what love looked like. Until one night, I heard the truth. I was in the kitchen getting water when I heard voices from the backyard. My father, my uncle, a neighbor. They were laughing. Honestly, I'm thinking of kicking her out. My father said, not. My grip tightened around the glass. She's almost 30. No real job, just sits there like a burden. They laughed. Maybe hitting rock bottom will finally make her grow up. Something inside me didn't break. It clicked. For the first time. I wasn't hurt, I was clear. I didn't confront him. I didn't defend myself. I started documenting because in families like mine, emotions get rewritten. If you cry, you're unstable. If you argue, you're disrespectful. If you defend yourself, you're proving their point. So I chose something they couldn't interrupt: evidence. I went back 3 years. Every payment, every transfer, every crisis I fixed before it exploded. Late nights turned into spreadsheets. Receipts. Screenshots. Logs. Everything. When I finally calculated the total, I just stared at the screen. It wasn't small. It wasn't even a lot. It was shocking. 8.4 million Pakistani rupees. That's how much I had spent directly and indirectly keeping my family and that business afloat. And what was I called? A burden. Around the same time, I got an offer. A long-term remote contract with a company based in another city. Stable income, independence, distance. Accepted immediately. And told no one. I rented a small apartment quietly. Then, I started moving my things out slowly. Clothes first, then books, then equipment. Piece by piece. Invisible. No one noticed. That's how little they paid attention when I wasn't solving their problems. 6 days before I planned to leave, my father cornered me in the kitchen. I want you out by the end of the month. He said it like a favor. Maybe then you'll finally learn something. I looked at him and asked one question. Do you want me gone? Or do you want an audience? He smirked. Maybe both. I nodded. Okay. That was the moment everything locked into place. By Thursday, Everything important was already out of the house. By Friday, I removed my cards from accounts I had quietly been supporting: subscriptions, utilities, vendor, backups. Gone. End Saturday, I went back for my last box. What I saw when I pulled into the driveway looked like a celebration. There was a giant banner stretched across the garage. "Goodbye burden, don't come back." Music was blasting. The grill was on. People were laughing. My family was hosting a party. For my humiliation, "Look who finally showed up," my father shouted. People turned, smiled, watched, double quotes, 30 years old and still useless. Someone yelled, "About time she left." Then something hit my car. A burger. "Here's your last free meal." Someone laughed. I stood there, keys digging into my palm, and the strangest part, they believed it. Every word. I walked inside, picked up my last box, came back out, and took a photo. My father saw me. Smirked. Double quotes. "What?" Taking a souvenir. I looked straight at him. For the first time all day, I spoke. "No, for later." And then I left. Silence is a strange thing. For the first 3 days after I left, no one called. No messages, no questions, nothing. That's how entitlement works. It confuses your absence with surrender. I had just settled into my new apartment. It wasn't big. Bare walls, a single couch, a folding table I used as a desk. But for the first time in years, it was quiet. Not the heavy, tense silence of my father's house, but a calm I didn't trust yet. Monday afternoon, the first crack appeared. I didn't see it, I felt it. One of my father's municipal clients rejected a permit submission. The insurance document attached to it had expired. Normally, I would have caught that weeks earlier, called the broker, forced a same-day update, resent everything before anyone noticed. This time, no one was watching. The email sat there, ignored, until the client copied my father directly. Final delay before reassignment. He called me once. I watched my phone ring and let it stop. Tuesday. The project management software went offline. Why? Because the backup card on file was mine. Without it, the system locked. No schedules, no measurements, no installation dates. Everything froze. My uncle called 3 times. No voicemail, no voicemail. My sister texted, "Dad says stop being dramatic and log in." I didn't reply. Wednesday morning, 7:12 a.m. My phone rang again. This time, I answered. "Zara, sweetheart." My father's voice was soft, careful. He only used that tone for bankers and people he needed something from. "There's some confusion with the utility account," he said. "I think maybe your card was still linked somehow." Confusion. I leaned back in my chair. "No," I said calmly. "There's no confusion." Silence. Then he cleared his throat. "Well, can you just fix it? For now." For now, that phrase had cost me 3 years of my life. "No," I said. And hung up. Thursday. The tone changed. My uncle left a voicemail, slower than usual. Sober, which meant serious. "Zara, listen, I didn't mean anything at the party, okay? You know how I get." A pause. "Can you just help with the van payment? If we lose that job tomorrow, everyone's gonna suffer. Everyone. That word. The favorite weapon of toxic families. When they need you, it's suddenly about everyone." I deleted the voicemail. Friday was different. My sister called. Crying. That single quotes S. When I knew the problem had crossed from business into discomfort. "AP, please," she said between sobs. "Dad's in one of his moods. Everything's a mess." I stayed quiet. "I just need 60,000, just for rent." She rushed. "I'll give it back, I swear. Just don't make this into a thing. Don't make this into a thing." That sentence followed me for years. Don't make it a thing when she borrowed money. Don't make it a thing when my uncle messed up jobs. Don't make it a thing when my father insulted me in front of people. My pain was always the thing. Their behavior was just normal. So I asked her one question. "Do you know why Dad can't help you?" Silence. "No," she said. "He just keeps saying cash flow is weird." I smiled. "Cash flow is weird," I repeated. Then I opened my laptop and sent her a screenshot. Not everything, just a small piece. A spreadsheet. A spreadsheet. Her name, my father's company, the workshop utility account, 3 months of payments. Underneath, I typed, "Since you're interested in contribution." She didn't reply. For 2 hours. Then, "What is this?" I typed back, "A sample." Saturday morning. My father called 6 times. By the third call, The anger was gone. By the 5th, so was the pride. On the 6th, all that remained was panic. Ava, he stopped himself. Zara, please, call me back. His voice was tight, controlled, barely, double quotes. We need to understand what exactly you've been paying, and what you turned off. There it was, not : are you okay? Not, we were wrong, just, operations. I let the voicemail finish. Then I stood up, walked to my desk, and opened the file. 31 pages, 3 years of silence, turned into evidence. Payments, transfers, emergency fixes, messages, receipts, everything. At the very end, one photo. The banner. Goodbye burden, don't come back. Printed 2 copies. One for me, one for him. I wasn't planning to send it yet, but then, Sunday happened. My grandmother called. Her voice carried that familiar tone, but sharp underneath. Beta bitterness poisons the soul, she began. I closed my eyes. Your father may have been harsh, but he's under pressure, she continued. You should show compassion. Compassion. For the man who threw a party to humiliate me. She went on. If you were truly generous, you wouldn't be counting. I smiled. You're right, I said calmly. She paused. Generosity doesn't keep score, I continued. Accounting does. Silence. Then, I said something she wasn't ready for. Grandma, if I send you proof that I've been holding that house together while being called a burden, I took a breath. Will you tell the truth? No answer. Which was an answer. An hour later, my father texted, talk now please. I stared at the screen, then replied with one line. Tomorrow, noon, public place. He responded instantly. Home. I shook my head. No, he wanted an audience when I left. Now he would get one. When I spoke. We met on Monday. A small, roadside cafe just off the highway. The kind of place where truck drivers stop for tea, and nobody cares who you are. I arrived 5 minutes early, was already there. His car was parked crooked. Like, he'd come in too fast and he wasn't. Alone. My uncle sat beside him. Of course he did. Men, like him, don't show up alone when they know the truth is coming. I walked in, sat down across from them, placed the file on the table. My father looked at it, like paper itself had offended him. What is this? He asked. I slid it toward him. The difference, I said calmly, between your story and mine. He opened it. At first, he looked confident, dismissive. That lasted about 10 seconds. His eyes dropped to the first page, then the numbers, then the next page. His jaw tightened. This is ridiculous, he snapped. You're exaggerating. I didn't react, am I? I asked quietly. He flipped a page, harder than necessary. This software, this wasn't for me. It was for the business. Yes, I said. Your business. Another page. These fuel payments were temporary. 3 months, I replied. All after you told me payroll was fine. Silence. My uncle leaned in, read a section, then muttered under his breath. God, for the first time, someone else saw it. My father tried to recover. Families help each other, he said. I nodded slowly. Interesting, I said. When I lived in your house, you called it freeloading. I leaned forward slightly. But when you lived off my money, I held his gaze. It became family. That landed. He lowered his voice. Don't do this here. I tilted my head. You mean, with witnesses? Silence. My uncle tried his turns up. Listen, I was drunk that day. I didn't mean anything. I cut him off. You didn't apologize when you were sober, I said calmly. You apologized when the systems shut down. He looked away. No argument. My father changed tactics. Fine, he said. Let's say you helped more than we realized. There, it was. Not we were wrong, just more than we realized. You were still living in my house at 29. The same argument, every time. I nodded. Okay, I said. If I had paid rent to a stranger, I tapped the file, and kept my money away from your business. I leaned in slightly. You would have lost everything a year and a half ago. Silence. If I had billed you like a client, I continued, you'd be bankrupt. That hit harder than anything else, because this time, he knew it was true. He flipped to the last page, the photo, the banner, goodbye burden, don't come back. His expression changed, not guilt, calculation. You took this for leverage, he said. I shook my head no. I said, I took it because I knew you'd pretend it wasn't that bad. Silence stretched across the table. Then my uncle spoke. So, what now? I leaned back. Nothing. They both looked confused. That's the part you still don't understand, I said. I already paid. A pause. I'm just done. My father's jaw tightened again. You can't just walk away, he snapped, and let everything collapse over a grudge. Met his eyes. I didn't leave because of a grudge, I said calmly. I left because your disrespect finally cost more than my loyalty. That shut him up for a moment. Then he asked the only thing that mattered to him. How much of this can you turn back on? Not, are you okay? Not, we're sorry, just operations. I exhaled slowly. Some things can be fixed, I said. Some can't. I counted on my fingers. Vendor accounts might reopen with deposits. Utilities can stay on if you pay them. Insurance will cost more now. I paused. And at least 2 clients are already gone. Silence. He swallowed. You're enjoying this, he said. I shook my head. No. I held his gaze. I would have enjoyed you noticing before it got here. That one cut deeper than anger ever could. He leaned back, tired. Now smaller. Then he tried something different. A softer voice. Life's been hard. Since your mother passed, I felt it. Old pool. The one that used to make me forgive everything. But this time, it didn't work. Pain explains you, I said quietly. But it doesn't excuse you. Silence. We shouldn't be sitting here like enemies, he said. I nodded slowly. You're right. Then, I looked straight at him. But you threw a party when you thought you didn't need me anymore. That ended it. The softness disappeared. So what do you want? He asked. An apology. I smiled slightly. No. That confused him more than anything. I reached into my bag, took out a second envelope, and placed it on the table. What's this? He asked. Resource. I said. Inside were a bookkeeper's contact, a tax consultant, a small business lawyer, a utility assistance program. That's all I'm offering, I said. I stood up. He spoke one last time. If you walk out now, he said coldly, don't expect to come back when things turn around. I picked up my keys, looked at him one last time. Dead. My voice was calm, steady. The only reason things ever turned around, I paused, was because I was standing behind you, pushing, and then I walked away. I thought that was the end. It wasn. Single quotes. Because when you remove the one person holding everything together, collapse doesn't happen all at once. It happens in pieces. The business lost to major clients. The workshop almost shut down. One of the trucks got repossessed. The house went up for sale. Not because he wanted to downsize, because he had to. My sister messaged me one night. He keeps saying you ruined him. I replied instantly, no. A pause. Then I typed, I stopped protecting him from what he built. She didn't reply for a long time. Then finally, I know. Months passed. My life got quiet. Better. Work turned into stable income. Then more clients. Then my own business. No chaos, no shouting, no constant emergencies, just peace. One day, I got a call from an unknown number. I answered. It was him. I'm not calling about money, he said quickly, which told me he knew exactly what I'd think. Then, he said something unexpected. I found one of your mother's recipe cards. A pause. I thought you might want it. I closed my eyes. You can mail it, I said. Silence. Then, quietly, was I really that cruel? He asked. I could have said 100 things. Instead, I said one. You hung it over the garage. He exhaled and said nothing else. The recipe arrived for days later. Chicken pot pie. My mother's handwriting. The bottom. A small note. Add more time, if he complains. I laughed, then cried. People still ask me if I regret it, if I regret not helping one last time. But that question hides a trap. It assumes the most good person is the one who sacrifices again. I don't believe that anymore. If someone only calls you family when they need your money, your silence, your labor, they're not protecting a relationship, they're protecting a system. And the moment that system loses you, the panic, that's your answer. I was never the burden. I was the one holding everything together. And his biggest mistake was believing the person he humiliated would keep saving him.